Now, before we talk about how the first part of the movie has fared in cinemas and how critics are reacting to it, let's talk a little more about Horizon. The format is similar to Yellowstone in only one respect, and that's the fact that they're both westerns. Horizon is based on the events that led to the Civil War itself, and what happened after it. As such, it's not a standalone movie and will have a few parts to it. Officially, it's been greenlit for 4, but some reports suggest that there might just be 3 parts in total. Dividing the movie in parts was probably an idea Kevin picked up on after the disaster that was Waterworld. Again, the movie didn't do badly because it was a bad film per se, it was just too long to sit through. The audience was apparently bored by the time the movie reached its plot, and many walked away without watching all of it. Horizon, since it follows an actual historical timeline, had to be broken down. Another thing about Horizon is that Costner's doing basically everything. He's starring in the movies, he's written them, or at least co-wrote the script. He's also the director and the producer, plus he's poured in his money to get it off the ground. It's been a long time coming for the Hollywood legend, and in 2024, his dreams finally came true when Horizon was released. This would be the part where we tell you how it's been panned by critics and audiences alike. The biggest complaint was that Horizon lacked the storyline and direction that's needed to keep a Western moving. In not so many words, many critics called the film boring. Costner's acting might just have been the only saving grace, but that still didn't change the fact that the movie was a box office bomb. Horizon wasn't cheap either. The movie had an extensive budget, and Costner and the rest of the team is currently scrambling to at least break even. A major issue with the film could have also been the timing of it all. You have to remember that 2024 was the year some phenomenal films were released, and in the mix of it all, no one really sat down to watch Costner's new Western. No one except fans of John Dutton, of course. It goes without saying that while some people watched the movie to support Costner, others wanted to see what Costner left Yellowstone for. This was supposed to be a project bigger than Yellowstone, something that would help fans understand the logic behind Kevin Costner walking away from the biggest Western hit since forever. And it didn't. So now we know the real reason why Costner left his role as the patriarch of the Dutton family and how that gamble didn't pay off. It's time to talk about the fact that Kevin's been regretting that decision ever since and even reached out to Taylor to ask for his job back. What did Taylor have to say? Kevin Costner eventually changed his mind. Taylor Sheridan didn't. Now, Yellowstone has had to deal with more than just a few setbacks of his own, by the way. Besides the obvious fact that they had to navigate the show without their leading man, they were also facing multiple delays. Yellowstone is a big-budget production, and this was set to be the final season of the show. Naturally, it takes time to make things happen. Now, typically, it's taken Paramount almost a year, if not a little more, to come out with a season of Yellowstone. This time, fans were hoping Taylor and the rest of the team would fast-track everything, given how we're only talking about the remaining half of Season 5. However, the finale was repeatedly delayed. After announcing that the finale would be released in late 2023, the date was pushed back to the middle of 2024 following the writer's strike, and then pushed back to late 2024 because of scheduling conflicts. For a while there, some fans were worried that Yellowstone might not see its finale being released ever. But not to worry, it is happening, and the finale has been wrapped up. Many fans were hoping that Kevin Costner would make a surprise return in the finale, or the final episode at least, stumping fans who thought he'd left the show for good. This was rumored to have been the big reveal at the end of the show, and many people held on to hope that their favorite character would be returning to the small screen one last time. Unfortunately for them, that's not going to happen. Taylor isn't being coy or secretive here. He's made it clear in no uncertain terms that Kevin will not be in the finale. This was something he'd originally made clear to the star when he walked away from the project, and then later to his reps when they reached out to express the actor's interest in returning. Starting with why Kevin wanted to come back, according to the actor himself, he wanted to come back to give John Dutton the proper send-off that he deserved. The actor acknowledged that he might have made a rash decision when he ended his contract with Paramount right before the finale and wanted to work with the team to reach some level of a compromise. Kevin didn't mention Horizon tanking, but fans believe that maybe that had something to do with his decision too. Probably a lot more than he's willing to admit. In any case, here's why Taylor didn't want him back. To start off, many fans theorized that the series creator probably has bad blood with Kevin and isn't willing to let him back on the show. This could be true, but Paramount did release its own statement at the time when Costner walked away, saying that there was no bad blood between the two of them. Taylor has mentioned in interviews that while he wasn't thrilled with the fact that the leading actor was walking away, he learned to be fine with it after all. Which brings us to the second reason why he might not want Kevin back. The series finale was written in a way that just didn't involve Costner anymore. According to a few actor interviews, Yellowstone probably has the best ending in the history of television. That's a bold statement to make in itself, and an even bolder one when you remember that the show is navigating without its leading man now. But that's just how the actors and Taylor feel. By the time Kevin had asked to come back on the show, they'd already written the script and were working on the show without John Dutton. Incorporating him in the finale somehow now would have meant an even further delay. Paramount wasn't willing to foot the bill for that, and Taylor wasn't willing to rewrite his script for a third time. That's right, Taylor had already written Season 5's entire storyline by the time John Dutton announced his retirement from the show. Now, the question is, will it be worth it? Will the finale be worth watching without John Dutton? Some fans were worried that Taylor had just ruined the show when he refused to let Kevin Costner return. But others believed that John Dutton's exit was the best thing that could have ever happened to Yellowstone. There's a reason for this. Many believed that Yellowstone's storyline had been dragged out to no end just because Taylor wasn't ready to say goodbye to the parent series. Yellowstone started off as a series, but has now grown into a whole franchise with several prequels and sequels. The show is actually on its way to announcing more sequels, one with Matthew McConaughey on its way coming shortly after the finale airs. While everyone's a fan of Yellowstone, and its spin-offs have done quite well for themselves too, where does Taylor plan on drawing the line? That was a question many fans had when they started to feel like the series creator just wasn't ready to end the Western. Many fans were worried that Taylor would drag the show out to the point that it became boring. And that's when Yellowstone would have ruined the tremendous legacy it's built for itself. It was a warranted concern, and one that it seemed like everyone except Taylor and Paramount had. You have to remember that Yellowstone has been a long time coming for Taylor, and it is, in effect, Paramount's cash cow. Neither of them were ready to say goodbye. Reportedly, Taylor had enough material ready that would have seen a couple of more seasons of the show go through. And while everyone agrees that Taylor has a way with a script, they also started to feel like the story was drawing to an inevitable end. How many more foes would the Dutton family have to fight against in every season? Many predicted that the final boss would be someone from the Dutton family itself, and that's exactly what we came to realize at the end of Season 5's Part 1, when Jamie Dutton flipped the switch and started yearning for the family ranch. Jamie's character arc had been one of the more interesting ones on the show, as fans saw him go from a character who wanted nothing more than John's love and approval to someone who could do just fine without it. If anything, he was willing to get all the Duttons out of the way to get to the family ranch. Another storyline and character arc that was almost as fun to watch progress as Jamie's was Beth's. The two characters rivaled each other throughout the series and were fan favorites for almost every season. In fact, in the final episode of Season 5's Part 1, we see the two coming face to face with one another for the first time since they were young, and the incident happened. So while John Dutton might not be a part of the finale, maybe that's a good thing. Kevin Costner's exit has given the other characters time to shine in the spotlight too. Besides that, it'd be interesting to see the sort of closing Taylor whips up for the best Western anyone's seen in a long time. Will Kevin's absence be felt? Of course! He led the show for 5 whole seasons, but maybe this was for the better. We'll know more once the finale officially drops on November 10th, 2024. What do you think is coming up in the final episode of Yellowstone? Who do you think gets the ranch? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more.